talk very loud and look at me if you want me to hear, because I'm having a very difficult time hearing this morning. So Rose, you're gonna have to scream at me for me to hear. But anyway, I apologize for that, but I'm deaf in this ear, don't hear well out of that one, and besides that, I got head congested, so I'm having problems. But anyway, the meeting's called to order. We have, any guests? Robert, you wanna say some words? I know you're here.
Yeah, I had, I know we're, the main thing of the district, I would think, with the reclamation is to sell water. And I had, on our 2 inches, it's sort of short and it doesn't go around far and all that. And I had sort of hinted in my emails that I could use some of that at the start of the 2 inch, but I needed to save it for my wheat. And I thought, well, they got a lot of water, maybe they'll put me on or say, yeah, go ahead, and nada. And, I drive down to Hudspeth County, either the back road, either morning or night, whenever I'm going that way, even all the way over to out in the middle of nowhere. And I know how much goes by, but and they held some water for me on my last irrigation, so y'all have been doing a good job. So
well,
keep up the good work.
Please, put that in the record. Robert actually said we did it, but with tongue in cheek, he said. Thank you, Robert. I can hear better already now. Okay. Any other guests who want to speak? No? Okay. Minutes of September 16th meeting is in your packet. Is there any additions or corrections to the minutes as presented? Hearing none, I would accept the motion to approve them.
So moved. Second.
Better talk up there.
So moved.
There you go.
George second.
George seconds. All right, been moved and seconded. We approve the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Let me get back to my agenda here. Okay, Lisa, you're on. Oh, you're already
here.
Good.
Good morning. In lieu of our Christmas banquet, we are having an Employee Appreciation Day on October 27th. Employee Appreciation Day in lieu of the banquet, our Christmas banquet, we're going to have an Employee Appreciation Day on October 27th,
Right.
starting at 8, and you'll please join us.
Starting at
8 in the morning.
8.
We're at.
Here
Well,
at the
that's gonna be a
office.
fiesta,
Yeah, here, it's like a work day.
the whole day.
So it's a whole day, and we'll
Okay.
be set up out in the back parking lot. And Robert and Pete, this is their time, they love to grill, they'll be grilling out there, and this will have our anniversary jackets and
Okay.
so forth. So please
When do you
join.
eat? That's important.
What do we eat?
When do you eat?
Oh, around 11:30 usually.
That's the important one. That's when folks show up.
No, they have to show up, so, but yes.
And last year we
Yes.
did a combined deal here, and
Mr.
Mr. Brooks and Mr. Teran showed up.
Yes.
And we handled with the Christmas gifts to the employees and so on.
That's good, yeah.
So yes, if y'all could join us and.
Yeah.
Well, I missed the ones that were up at Indian Cliffs. I don't know if that'll ever come back, but those, you guys did a lot of good work there.
Oh, I appreciate that. With your all's help, of course.
I think it's very good. We certainly have a very good group of employees, and we do need to show our appreciation.
Thank you, sir.
For sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. All right. Mary Cortez in absentia.
Yeah, she's not, Mary took a vacation week.
Who gave her permission to do that?
She well deserved it.
That's for sure.
Unfortunately, she went to Orlando right after the hurricane.
Right.
That's not a good idea.
So she was worried about that, but Lisa talked to her, she was doing all right.
Yes.
Correct, Lisa?
Everything was open,
Yeah.
they enjoyed themselves.
Oh, good.
So we won't have any financials
Yeah.
this board meeting till next board meeting from her. But we do have the letter of engagement from Peña, Briones, McDaniel, and company. so we'd like for you all to consider approving.
Okay, I had just one question when I read that whole thing. Boy, that was a long letter of engagement. And it's in relation to what our departed attorney, Jim Spear, would always ask you. Was there any special thing on 55 that we need to include on this engagement letter on chapter 55 or on TCEQ?
Yeah, Mary's not here.
Yeah, Mary's not here.
So what I asked her,
Jim's not here.
what I asked her before was that the language that was in this engagement letter, she assured me was identical, was the same language that was in the previous. That this employee at this new company is the same, one of the same employees, so they went ahead and took our standard agreement with the previous company and they accepted that.
Okay.
So this is Jim
Is
Spears.
Bruce ready to make sure the red line?
Well,
That I have not done.
no, I read the whole thing.
I have to send it to Colorado to get that done, Steve.
As long as that, it didn't mention specifically, you know, water district under chapter 55, but I don't guess it has to be, right?
Well, no, it doesn't. They know what kind of entity we are, but the accounting process, the GASB is what's a standard for all political subdivisions, and that's what it does say.
Okay. Just asking.
Any other questions? I'd entertain a motion to approve the engagement letter with Peña, Briones, McDaniel and Company for our next year's audit. Hear a motion?
So moved.
Art makes a motion. Larry seconds. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Just clarify, it's for, we do our audits in arrears, so it's for,
Right.
Mary's not here, so
It's next year's audit for last year's business.
Yes.
I think we're 1 year behind right now, so it's more than one. It's,
2022. Yes.
yeah.
And I have the original for signatures, okay?
Okay.
You have the original site, okay. All right. Rose, did you bring your loudspeaker?
Good morning.
Your fog, what do you call it? The
Bullhorn.
bullhorn, yeah.
Yeah,
It's called foghorn, don't we?
So we do have quite a bit of adjustments. This is the limitation of collection of taxes. Can you hear me okay?
No, I can hear you.
I can't hear you. But don't worry about me,
Okay.
yeah.
I was like that.
You'd
It's
hurt
just
your
us
voice
I
if
was
you
like
made-
that for 2 weeks. I couldn't hear. It was
Yeah.
bad. I know what you're talking about. So the adjustments we have are accounts that have more than 20 years delinquent. So we are removing those. We did the first part last month. This is the second part. And then we'll be up to that by the tax code. So we're looking at removing $8,241.83. This money is considered not collectible or presumed paid. There are 24 property owners involved. It's 42 properties and total of 69 years of rent renewal.
Including one.
69 years.
This is something we've been gonna do for a long time, isn't that right?
We've been trying to do it for a while, so we
About
finally,
20 years.
pushing.
I for some reason thought we had already done, but we hadn't.
We've done part of it.
We did part of
did
it last
once
month.
last time, and this is the second
And this
part.
is the
for us.
second half.
Yeah, that's right. Perfect.
So is this like a forgiveness or what?
No, it's uncollectible or presumed paid. So under the Texas Property Tax Code, for real property, limitation is 20 years on the books. So we have more than 20 years.
So we don't keep carrying it on the books because it just
Right.
keeps getting bigger and bigger and it's uncollectible. So when we do this, under the law, we get it off the books and you don't carry it.
Yes, sir.
So, and 20 years is a long time.
Yes,
That's
sir.
when you can't do it until there. So all these things are 20 years or older.
It didn't bother me a lot, except I noticed El Paso County trustee is one of the ones you got going.
Well, do you remember those, Mr. Ivy? There were individual owners
Yeah.
that we filed
okay,
suit,
okay.
and the property didn't sell, so we became trustees. So including the irrigation district, the county, schools, and so on.
It's really amazing how many properties there really are like that.
Yeah.
They're kind of like in limbo.
Yes, sir.
It's really weird.
Yeah. Okay.
So you don't have any questions, I can get a motion for approval.
Do I hear a motion to approve the adjustments this morning?
Yes, so moved.
Okay. Art made that, I think, yes, Mitch, you made the motion.
Yeah.
And
There's a
Larry
second.
seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
They're trying to confuse me this morning, and they're doing a good job of it.
Thank you.
Just raise your
All in
hand.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Our next report is for information purposes. This is the leases for the El Paso Public Service Board, also known as the City of El Paso. Also an update for the Lower Valley Water District. And if you'll notice, Lower Valley Water District, in August, we received 203 leases. So we got those completed. And as far as the tax suits, that's also an update. We have been pursuing those long-term accounts that are delinquent on our books. Do you have any questions on those? Do you have any questions?
I don't.
No.
Okay.
Our next report is a comparison between tax year 2020 and 2021. Right now, we're at 97.416%. Last year, at the same time, we were at 96.71. So we're ahead on collections, sir.
Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. This will help too, getting rid of all that other stuff,
It
that
sure
per
will, sir.
percentage.
Yes, it
Yeah.
sure will.
Okay, the important one.
Yes. So now we're looking at setting the tax rate for irrigable lands for 2022. We're looking at the tax assessment of $25 per acre, a water delivery charge for allotment water, $10, and the same is for non-allotment, $10.
You may have any problems with that? That's what we discussed during our budget hearing.
Same as last year.
Same as
last year.
Same as last year.
Yes, sir.
We would-
I have a question. Same as last year, and same as the previous year, and same as the previous year, or is it?
Last year for sure, but I can find out for you. I have a scale, a schedule, I can give you the rates for a couple of years.
Let me know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think we were lowered a little bit
We
last
lowered
year.
we lowered them a little bit
From last year,
previous, 2 years ago.
or 2 years.
2 years ago, yeah.
2 years ago?
And 2 years ago.
Rose, do we do it in one motion, the tax exempt lands?
Yes,
too, or
we're
we
gonna
don't?
do separate. This is for
Separate,
the
okay.
irrigable land, and then we're gonna go ahead and do
Now
the
we do
exempt properties.
Okay.
contract rate separate.
Well, I make a motion that we accept that tax assessment for the water delivery charge, allotment water, non-allotment, and I guess administrative fees too?
Yes, sir. Apologize for that. Yes, we got $45. Yes, sir, that's administrative, it's $20 per owner. And that applies to both, it's gonna be the tax assessment and the tax exempt.
I second that motion.
Okay, then moved in seconded, we approve the 2022 tax rate to be tax assessment $25 per acre, water delivery charge, allotment water $10 per acre foot, non-allotment water $10 per acre foot, and administrative fees of $20 per owner.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion for tax exempt land, we have a total tax rate.
Well, this is for the irrigable.
Oh,
This
you
is for
did
the
that.
irrigable. Yes.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Now the contract.
Our next item is setting the rate for 2022 on tax exempt entities. And that will be $45 per acre foot, and also the administrative fee of $20 per owner.
Okay.
And that's not
Do
a
I hear a
change.
motion to that effect?
Move that, approve that.
Mike makes a motion, Mike's in here a second, George, second. All opposed, well, motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Okay, Rose,
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
now your work starts.
Yes, it does.
Okay, General Manager,
On item A, we submitted a an application for a grant through the County of El Paso. The County of El Paso received $9 million through the American Rescue Plan Act to administer this money and divide it up into different entities throughout El Paso County. So we applied for $1 million. In this grant application, we submitted survey engineering work on the Franklin Canal, and we also submitted to purchase 3 dump trucks. We were granted, instead of the $1 million, we were granted $640,000. It's the $640,000 is a non-matching. In other words, we get 100% of that funding. Out of 68 applicants, our application was rated #1 by the committee that did the study. There was 19 awards throughout the county, and different awards. La Fe Clinic, UMC got some money, and different entities got different amounts of money. And we'll have our next meeting with the County of El Paso to proceed on how we go about obtaining these fees. That meeting is scheduled for next Thursday.
So we're gonna do the surveying ourselves, or we're gonna hire someone? And Rick, why are we surveying? I never have quite understand why we need money to survey.
Why don't we, I've got some engineering item on mine, we can talk about that under that. And there's some possibilities on this funding that we don't have to use it for engineering or surveys, so.
Excuse me, I didn't.
Under the engineering, I don't know. Have
Your
the
report,
agenda.
yeah, I got that part.
The 8E, we've got a bigger presentation on that, so can we do it under 8E?
Whatever, I just didn't know why we needed survey. I know we've got all our stuff surveyed pretty well.
Well, some of the jobs required, but this particular one, there may be some other opportunities to spend this money than on surveying, so I agree.
And the grant will allow you to do that?
They haven't matured it. I don't want to speak for Mr. Reyes and let him talk, but my understanding of the process from reading the administrative law for the Treasury Department, it allows a lot of flexibility. In fact, it promotes what you guys proposed to begin with was to buy equipment.
Right.
And of course, that was, I think, still our preference, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So there's still talk of how to do that, and there's a possibility we might be able to accomplish buying some equipment.
Good.
And then item B, we received a $100,000 grant awarded by the Bureau of Reclamation. This is the grant funding, and it's included in your package, for seepage test of several canals and the environmental and economics work that we need to do at the Riverside Regulating Reservoir in order to be able to apply for that large amount of money that we're looking for, that grant money. So we have the funding now to proceed with that, and Omar and Al have been working on proceeding with that. I think Al and Omar have become experts on seepage tests, so we'll be doing the seepage test ourselves, and then I think the environmental and economics, we might have to hire somebody to do some of that.
What's the economics?
It's a cost-benefit analysis to spend federal money. They require to make sure there's more benefits than cost.
And the environmental?
Environmental standard, we've done some, we've already had some environmental work and got a record of decision. But it's, as you guys recall, that's back when we did Partador, which has been 12 years.
In 2010.
They're part of NEPA stuff, you have to get in.
Yeah. And so it's aged out, so we've got to update that. We have to update that environmental work.
So that's all I have, unless you all have any other questions. Oh, no, does his first.
Engineers report, you're on.
Okay, let me, swap out drives. Get ready for Pete. So first, Larry had mentioned that we had gotten quite a bit of water in the reservoir. I've got a picture of the graph here. Sorry, hold on for a second. Get over to it. So this is the storage of water in Elephant Butte, and you can see that last year we were about at the beginning of the year, or well, that's just to June. When we started the release, we were about 200,000, and we brought it down to about 70,000, and then it's gradually started to accumulate. We had a long period where we didn't have any inflow, and then these recent rains, especially in the last 10 days, you can see that there's been some inflow on doing that. So we're back up to about 120,000, which is good. Larry was saying you compared it to last year, it's about the same that we were at this point, maybe a little bit more on doing that, but it's. Last year, we had a larger share of the water because of our ability to conserve water, and we don't, this year we actually have a lower share because we used all our water, and EPID for various reasons wasn't able to use all their water. We haven't done those calculations on this, but every indication is that even though be optimistic with this growth in the last 10 days, that we're going into the same situation we had last year. That if we can get to...
These last inflows, have they been, they're not all New Mexico credit water, are they?
No, they owe us quite a bit of water, so that even if it were this would just pay down part of their credit.
Owing and paying is two different things.
Right. And so, and believe me, they're not doing anything to make the payments. This is just happening because of rain. Downstream of where they use the water.
They didn't do anything.
They didn't do anything to help us out.
Yeah.
Yeah. This just happened because of where the rain was on doing that. So as we get to November, we start our snow forecast in November, and so this is sort of in between right now. So we'll restart all that process, and we'll all cross our fingers for a heavy snow. A lot of, the Pacific cooling is continuing this year.
Yeah.
But some of this moisture we're getting right now is coming off the Pacific, so, it's not consistent with La Nina.
Well, there's a big storm going into Mexico, in the Gulf of Mexico. It's formed in the Gulf of Mexico. So going on right now, that may push some moisture up here if it doesn't get caught and go
the other way.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the ones that usually come up, up to Sea of Cortez and make it into Arizona and here. But they don't necessarily contribute much to the snowfall, but they do to the local runoff. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. So in terms of, I've never been a big proponent of the La Nina effect, that they say is so pronounced, because every time they say it's so pronounced, it does the opposite of what they pronounce it to do. So we're sort of in that situation right now. It's doing the opposite of what they said it's supposed to do, but we'll see. But right now, the forecasts for snow are not good because of that cooling of the Pacific.
It's been that way for this is the third year, which is unprecedented too, right?
Right, and we would hope we know that there is some warmings going on, but it's not in a location.
Global warming everywhere, but like El Nino.
all that cold water from Alaska is coming down. Doing it from a snow melt on doing it. But do you have any questions I can answer on that? So we'll go back. We'll have an attorney on Zoom and so on. Anything on discussion on the allocations or any updates that we may be able to give you on the Rio Grande compact, we'll do in closed session. I have the engineering part of this. There's an additional item that was added, 9E. But prior to that, I'd like to do the status of that, and David's gonna do that. I've got
Which one now?
the status of third party, the 9D.
Okay, D.
8, sorry, 8D. Third party, let me see if I can pull up his pictures.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Just to give you all a quick rundown, here are a couple photos. We've got some of the contractors that we deal with on a daily basis. This is El Paso Electric. Actually, this is Aspen working for El Paso Electric. This would be the Franklin Canal. Not too far from the site projects.
Could you talk a little louder, please?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
It's all on its own.
I'm not, you could try using that, if not, just tell me and I'll advance it.
Okay. Yeah, you're gonna take care of it.
It's not on. This side.
We only have a piece of it.
There you go. This one right here, this is the Montoya Main, near Montoya Road. This was a bore that we had, this is license number 3040. This is for bank construction, working for El Paso Water. This has been completed as of last week, so this is a good project that we have there in the Upper Valley. And next one. So this is upcoming work that we've got on the Wandi Branch C. We were waiting for irrigation season to end so we could begin the continuance of the concrete liner on the Wandi Branch C near the new Echo Tanks area. This is for that new development that's going up North Loop and new Echo Tanks. And then this Franklin Canal is still ongoing. We are waiting for TxDOT and for Sun Construction to continue working on the sound wall on the Franklin Canal near Stevens Road. We are waiting for a new custom gate to go up in that area, so I'm just waiting for them to build it and install it so we can have access to that area. We've not had access in that area at all, but yeah, you can kind of see it there in the upstream. We'll have a new custom gate put up right there right in that area, but next one.
Yeah, this will be like a 20-foot tall concrete wall?
Yes, that'll be that sound barrier for the neighborhood there.
And at least the initial proposal was that this is gonna be restricted access. There'll be a gate and it looks like a sidewalk, but it's not a sidewalk. It's just a maintenance access road.
Yes.
The nicest maintenance access road we have. And then at this point, I'll leave it up to Pete if we can remove the chain link fence so that you can get in there.
And yeah, and that's actually a temporary fence, Al. They just, they relocated, it was actually located on top of the bank.
Right.
So what they did is they went ahead and they anchored it onto the existing concrete liner.
Oh, so that's.
So that way nobody would go and slip and fall into the Franklin while there was water in the channel.
They just used our old fence to.
Exactly, that's all they did. They shortened it up a little bit and yeah, they set it up on the concrete. And this was an emergency project that we had on the Mesa drain at Loop 375 for El Paso Water. They had a manhole that collapsed in that area, so they had to bypass from manhole to manhole. But this has been here the previous month, Alex said, and we continue checking on our right-of-ways. We continue checking, make sure we don't have any issues with people encroaching on our property. So that's an ongoing effort for us out there in the field. But other than that, that's all I've got for you. Thank you.
You have any questions?
The prior picture was over there by the zoo.
Yes, yeah, right by Stevens, yeah, just upstream from US 54. Right there,
And
yeah.
how many miles was that?
That section, that they're only gonna line, they're only gonna put sound wall up for, I believe it was 300 feet.
I know, but when we finished the Franklin Canal in there, where people walk over to go to the zoo, that's gonna.
No, that's actually on the upstream side of the zoo, yeah, that's actually on the other side of 54,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Is that area gonna be to the grant, be developed?
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about those here in a minute. What he was talking about was a small TxDOT project for an acoustic wall in the vicinity, but it's in a location that's already concrete lined. It's been lined for a long time.
Oh, okay.
It's where our metering station is, but I'll be glad to, we can go into the details on that if you want to. But that one's a good project for us, 100% paid by TxDOT to put up an acoustic wall, sound wall for the neighborhood. And in doing such, Pete and I worked with them, and David worked with them to get them to design that wall in a manner that it would improve our access. And they're gonna put up probably the fanciest gate we've got too, right?
Right.
Right. So it'll be a nice, fairly large gate that will be easy to open, to restrict access. And then that right down from that is where it goes into a siphon and goes under the TxDOT right away and shows up over by the zoo about 500-600 feet downstream to that siphon. So I'm doing that, but yeah, let's talk about the other one. The item 8E, which is engineering, there's quite a bit of work that we've got that you've been hearing about related to, let me get rid of this. I need a video operator for me. There's two parts of it we need to talk about. Some of this we'll need to talk about in closed session because it has to do with our real property and the valuation of the property and other third-party use of it. So that's covered under the closed meeting, but I'll start off with just looking at what Omar's prepared. This is a subset of his. These are our grants that we've received or will be. Mr. Rist was talking about that El Paso County, $640,000 that we're working with the county on. Pretty much each one of these, we break them out into two major categories, and that is ones that require engineering drawings or environmental work or legal surveys, and the ones that Pete can do that are simple enough that the funding agency doesn't require any of that work. So these are active ones that we're working on. Today, excuse me, go back to that. Some of these we've already completed the drawings. You guys, we've had other projects. Omar can answer some questions on them, but we've received money over the previous years to do the design drawings, and they've just been sitting there waiting for money to pay for the concrete lining, such as this 3B is finishing up the Franklin Canal west of 375. You guys may remember we did a big project with TxDOT east of 375, and we extended it, some of it past 375, and then we now would like to continue that project. We've already come up with a set of drawings for that. There may be some additional work that needs to be done, but we don't think there's any environmental work that needs to be done on doing that. We've been working on, every time I click it, advance, sorry, I'm trying to, I'll just point to it. The upper La Union East are you guys familiar with that area? That's right in New Mexico, up near Anthony. It's very far north. So we're in two grants that apply there. One has to do with the part from Wasteway 32 north, and then the second one has to do with parts of that. Almost all of that canal is in New Mexico. So that project is fairly complicated, and we don't expect to go to construction on it anytime soon, but because we were going to have to coordinate. EPCWID owns the land, we have an easement, and so we'll have to get their approval. And there is quite a bit of additional work. Omar, you've worked, I guess, have been the most rigorous proposal with reclamation. I don't know if you want to talk about all the things that made you do. We've never had to do some of those, but there's such as historical review, consultation with how many tribes?
24?
24 tribes. All the western. And we had to consult with all the Indian tribes to make sure, which was unusual. We never had, we typically just consult with the Tiguas. And so each one of these has a unique nature. But like I said, some of the smaller jobs Pete does without engineering, and we coordinate that. So that's a list of the ones that we've received funding. Most of this is, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, is that are typically a 50-50, right? 50% grant
I
and
was going to
50%.
suggest another column up there is what the district's obligation will be under each one of them. If that's possible at some point,
Yeah, I've been working with Mary, she's got that a little bit in the budget, and I can get that done
I
for
just
next
think it
work.
would show us what, because we've got so many of these now, how far, how much obligation are we looking at? And if you had something like that in your schematic here, it might help.
Sure, and some of these large ones are just proposals right now, right, Omar? Towards the bottom?
Everything you've listed there, with the exception of 25 and 22.
Maybe
we've already
another
received
column
funding
of
for.
status.
Yeah, these two large ones are proposals, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and everything else we have been, so yeah, we'll do a status, and we'll do, what I talked to Mary about doing at the last.
Potential districts.
Yeah, district, how much we expect to spend of our money.
That's a good point, like on, you show up there 8th, which is the third one down, Riverside down, it says, project 2 million, grant 1. Does that mean we're obligated for $1 million?
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that, that's why we don't have done, is that we do in-kind work, so that we have,
So
labor
that's
that
labor.
we would be paying anyways, but we're focusing on this project instead of other projects. The only thing I think that the Mary talked about, and she talked to Ms. Reyes about, is that we probably need to break out the overtime related to those projects as something extra. And so, and there may be some out-of-pocket expenses in some of that we actually have to pay, so we need to break that down. But in general, I think in terms of our share, the primary process is in-kind work, right?
Yes. Equipment and labor.
Equipment and personnel.
Equipment depreciation,
Yes.
labor cost. Yeah.
But if you can put it down in-kind contribution,
Right.
whatever it is, we understand that part of it. But then again, if you're looking at it from my perspective, we're still obligated to do that. And if it weren't for the grant, we may not be spending that money or having that many employees, so you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
To rationalize it.
Good.
The LUE, the La Union, that's the one that you said you had to get all the, and that's the one that's in New Mexico too.
That's right. It involves consultation with the New Mexico Historical Commission. We call them the SHPO. And they are being overly stringent on their requirements. Quite frankly, they require more documents from us than they would from EBID or any other entity in New Mexico.
Yeah, because there's so many tribes up and down the river and they have an interest in the river or what?
It's just policy that they follow. I guess we're an external party to New Mexico. We don't have any existing agreements with the SHPO.
I'm sorry, Omar, I can't hear you.
That it's because we don't have any existing agreements with the State of New Mexico Historical Commission that we are required to do a lot of the work from scratch. And that's why they require a more stringent, they require simply more documents from us than they would otherwise.
I was just wondering why the Indian tribes, I guess it's the ones that have some kind of claim to the waters of the Rio Grande, or?
I think that's what the 24 groups were. Some are even on the Colorado, right?
Yes.
Colorado?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
well, I think you received 24 letters of no objection though, right?
Yes.
Well, yeah,
Nobody
I was just
objected.
wondering,
I think
why.
many of them said, why are you asking for this letter?
Yeah, well, yeah, they're like me, they're confused.
They were confused. But yeah, that's because those are in New Mexico, Art, and we haven't, this would be the first time we've ever done any projects that are significantly in New Mexico. And I think maybe the last time too.
I was gonna say, so we're contemplating actually doing the work in New Mexico under that
Well, that's under the.
joint power?
Yeah, we maintain that and operate that canal, and the majority of the water, 85% of the water in that canal is for Texas.
Okay, so.
It just happens to be the canals in New Mexico.
85%.
What?
Only fix it 85%.
Well, I don't know that even he's gonna help.
That was facetious, excuse me.
Vote on setting that up. We go on to the next one, sorry. I'm on the wrong keyboard. Now, something that's related to this, and this gets a little bit complicated. This is has more to do with licensing than grants. But we have 4 licenses, or 5 really, that have been applied for to use our facility, third-party use, that are associated with grants, but these grants would be typically going not directly to us, but to another entity, of which then they would use the money to improve it for both, such as concrete lining, or for walking and bike trails, is what the common use is.
Forget that.
So we've been working on some of these for a long time. You can see that the number, yeah, you'll just have to wait. You'll have to call him back. I can't.
Walking and bike trails, you want to walking in the bike trail?
Not at my house.
Well, some of these have already been in front of the board, so we can discuss probably on the merits, and one by one, I can bring them back next month and we can go through it. Some of them have, for lack of activity, such as these old ones, where we need to discuss. The board hasn't taken any action on any of these. No action's been taken on any of these. But these are things that people have come to us with applications, paid their administrative fee to see if they could develop something that the district, through Mr. Reyes, myself, Pete, Robert, Kathy, everybody that we go through, Rose, we go through a long list of the departments in the district on every license to see whether we could support recommending this to the board. We have not made it past me on any of these yet. To get to the rest, we've had some discussions with Pete and with Mr. Reyes, obviously, on doing it, but there's some issues that you guys will have to engage on for liability issues, you know, to make sure that the city, if they do it. There's other issues. We've done, I think, one bike trail prior to this, many years ago, you may remember, on the Mesa Drain. Jim and I did that project, and what we determined on that project was we sold the city the bank. Yeah, and it's up
A long time ago.
long time ago, in 2004 or something.
Yeah.
And so one of these applications is the city coming back to us wanting to extend that trail another 2,000 feet. And so you'll have to make a decision, do we want to sell that to them or do we want to lease it to them? If we lease it to them, can we make sure that we're not liable, you know?
This is a non-functional drain is what it was.
It's
right?
the Mesa drain.
It's a Mesa,
It's
yeah.
non-functional in that area.
Oh,
No, it's,
stormwater use.
we rent it to
The park that we sold, they weren't gonna use anymore. They never made a park out of the whole thing.
right, we just sold them the one bank of O&M Road, yeah, one side of it. We didn't sell them the drain, the drain's ours. We just sold them the bank where they have the public use. And that is an option we could do, because, and we still can access it for maintenance, and Pete still does, right, Pete?
Right.
And we rent the rest of the drain to the city for stormwater, so we receive a rental fee. And so our rental fee would go down if we sold the bank, but that's not in front of you today. I'm just saying that's something you've done before. They have not, none of these applications have passed your requirements in the licensing manual. In other words, there's certain things they have to do before I can even present it to you. I'm just giving you aware that these are important projects to the city, and that some of these entities are receiving grant money from other agencies in anticipation of getting a license from the district. So you know, that is something that we're dealing with, but we're not, we haven't completed the engineering on any of this.
They apply for grants and not having permission to even do the project.
Well, I think some of the funding's internal, you know, in other words, they got a grant that they could use it in various places, so if they don't use it here, they'll use it someplace else. I don't know, Mr. Reyes may be able to talk about the San Eli. I think that they've just sort of, I do think they've got their grant, but they haven't come back to us to talk to us.
I don't think they ever got their grant funding.
Oh, okay.
They came and gave you all a presentation, and I don't remember what year it was several years ago. And you all took it under advisement and you said, you know, we'll get your funding and then come back to us. But they never have come back to us.
Was that 2007?
Remember
17.
something around the zoo?
17.
Were you talking around the zoo or somewhere else?
No, no.
San
San Elizario.
San Eli.
Yeah, that's through the town of Sonelli.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yes.
It was involved with school too, then.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was Candelaria Street, Johnny? That was a long time ago when they did all that right around the old building there.
We sold it.
Did we sell that?
That's
No,
a
no.
Mesa drain deal.
No, that's not,
That's part of that road.
that's not
Mesa
sold.
drain deal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a federal, that was a federal, project that was done by the USBR.
Yeah.
And what you all did, it was prior to 2000. I don't remember the date, but
And they left
anyway,
the
It's
park.
in the 80s, yeah.
that license has expired with the city. It was a 25-year license.
So we own it.
It's our property, and they have a park on top from, let's see, Pendale all the way to,
That's a private-
what is it, Pete? What's that school?
Presa?
Presa.
Presa?
That's down by the school.
So,
That's a long time.
So,
Pfeiffer was still
yeah, that license has expired now.
Uh-huh.
And that section was done, and then another small section was done with the Mesa drain in Socorro. It's just about, what, 3 city blocks, Pete? The one that's-
Right, like the, approximately from Horizon to Clems,
To the clip,
yeah, it's about 3 blocks.
yeah. And that license has also expired, so we're gonna need to